Today we're excited to welcome Shakeeb Rahman, Software Development Manager at Oracle. He is based in Reston, Virginia, and we're excited to have you on today's episode. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So what we like to do when we get started is we always like to let our listeners know a little bit more about you personally. So could you tell us where you're from and how you ended up at Oracle?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm based in Reston, Virginia, which is outside of the DC, proper DC. And I started my career at Oracle quite some time ago, actually. So I was a student. I was actually in high school, and I submitted for this competition that Oracle had called ThinkQuest. It was me and a couple of buddies of mine, and we built this website for this competition called ThinkQuest that Oracle was sponsoring. It was part of the Oracle Education Foundation. We submitted for the competition. We won, I think, like second place or third place or something. And then as part of that, they reached out to the winners saying, hey, we're looking for interns in the Reston area, and I happened to be living nearby, so I applied for the internship. I got in with the team. A couple of years later, I was a contractor, and then I graduated, and I found myself with a full-time job at Oracle.
That's really cool. So you grew up in that area and then ended up at Oracle. And how long have you been there now?
So full-time, actually with the Apex team, we're under Mike Kitchell. I've been there for over 10 years.
That's awesome. So tell us a little more. So a lot of our listeners might not know a lot about Oracle. So can you tell us a little more about what Oracle is very briefly, and then tell us exactly kind of the division that you work in and the work that you do?
Sure. So Oracle is a very large company, but it's one of those companies that you may not have otherwise heard of. We're not really in the consumer space, right? It's not like a Google where you use Android. You're familiar with Google everywhere, right? So Oracle is a very enterprise-centric or business-centric company. So if you have a business, if you're running a business, if you're part of a larger company, then you probably have seen Oracle technology or use Oracle technology. Oracle is primarily known for its database software, and that's primarily the group that I work with. And within the database group, I am part of the database tools group under Mike Kitchell. So we are responsible for developing tools that our database customers can use to get the most value out of their investment in the Oracle database.
Okay. And one of those tools is Oracle Apex Application Express, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
And so can you tell listeners what Apex is?
Absolutely. So Oracle Application Express, or Oracle Apex, is a low-code platform that is native to the Oracle database. And what that means is that without really becoming an expert in these vast web technologies out there, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, SQL, security, performance, all these different facets of application development, you don't have to be an expert in all these different things to build a compelling web application. So the goal of Apex is to allow really anyone to build an application that can, withstand the test of time and provide you with a very compelling user experience without you necessarily becoming an expert.
Yeah, and a lot of people, the spectrum is broad, right, for people that would find value in this application. So people that are established small business that might purchase an Oracle database now that they have an autonomous database offering, and so they can
Sure.
Application Express Apex can run on that database. But also Apex is widely used by enterprise organizations. So, the Targets and the Best Buys of the world. And so when you think about, especially with Oracle's new offering, which is the autonomous database, why don't you say a little bit more about the difference between a regular database and the autonomous database, and then we'll go forward from there.
Sure, absolutely. So Oracle has been known for its database software, and for the longest time, really before the cloud was a thing, people would go and buy database software, they'd install it, in their own servers at their own company or on their premises, and then they would run it. They'd have a DBA to run that database software, to tune it, to manage it, to optimize it. And really a database was where you would store all of your information, all of the record keeping that you'd have, all the accounting, really whatever data that you have would go into an Oracle database someplace. And with the autonomous database, the entire game changes because now it's on the cloud, but it uses machine learning and all these other technologies to allow it to tune itself, to repair itself, to optimize itself, so that you don't need to have that human element anymore. And the fact that it's on the cloud means that you pay for it as a service, so you don't necessarily have to have hardware at your local office, right? Or have someone dedicated staff to maintain and manage the server. It's all happening in the cloud for you, and the autonomous feature set means that it really runs itself for you. You don't need to worry about doing any of this stuff.
Right, and now it's become, and maybe you can speak more about this, but it's become more accessible now to smaller businesses, because before, the majority of people primarily that would buy an Oracle on-premise database were larger
That's correct. Yeah, and I
organizations.
think that's really one of the biggest strengths of the cloud, right? Previously, you'd have to be a very large company or enterprise or make a significant investment in any technology to make good use of it. But now with the cloud, it's really a great leveler because anybody out there can go and sign up for a cloud service. You don't have to have this upfront investment that you normally did. So with the Oracle Autonomous Database, and in fact, we have this free offering from Oracle as well. It's the Oracle Cloud free tier. And as part of that, we have a few services which are always free, including our Oracle Autonomous Database. You also get Apex with this. And you can use it perpetually, completely for free. And it's a fairly significant offering from Oracle with some of our best stuff. So you can start off, it's very accessible to really anybody out there. So whether you're a small business, whether you're a startup, it's really a mistake for you to not look at this and look at what Oracle's offering completely free for you.
And the even bigger announcement for the Apex team and for database folks is that Apex is included on Autonomous. And so now you have this more accessible database that is run autonomously. You don't have to really know what you're doing with a database. You buy the service. And then on top of that, you have this low-code platform that you can develop software for your company on, right?
Yeah, that's right. And this is really the first time, I think, that we have this. So we've had this database platform for over 40 years. We've perfected this Oracle, database technology, and really, pretty much like in the entire Fortune, 100. I think like 98% of the companies in the Fortune 100 use Oracle database or Oracle technology to run their businesses. And with Oracle Apex, now Apex is not this new kid on the block. Apex has been around for quite some time, and we're a very strong foundation. We've solved a number of problems throughout the years that others are just now starting to solve. So with the best data platform, which is the Oracle database, combined with all the the proven success that we have in the field with Oracle Apex, for 20 almost 20 years, 20 plus years with Apex and 40 years of database technology, we're now able to bring that together in this really unparalleled combination. So it's really the best of both worlds, the best of data management, but also the best of application development.
Okay, so that kind of segues into another question I want to ask you, because you're full of wonderful information. People that are listening right now might be like, oh my God, I would never buy this Oracle database, and I don't even know what software development means. There's also people listening that are very familiar with the technology too. So, but I want you to give an example of how a small organization might be able to leverage the Apex technology. And then we can give an example of how a larger organization might leverage it, just to kind of showcase the difference in between the two, and also the vast difference that Apex can have within different styles of organizations.
Sure, I can give you numerous examples of small companies being able to use Apex. One in particular is, so let's say you're a small company, right? Maybe you have 5, 10, 20 employees, and you need to have some kind of system to have some record keeping, right? Maybe you want to see how many employees work which hours of the week. Now you can go out and buy some commercial off-the-shelf software. You can buy some service. Maybe you pay $10 per user per month, right? And then as you get more employees, those costs start to rise. Or you could use something like Oracle Apex. Maybe you spin up on SQL for a little bit. Maybe you watch a couple of videos. And then within maybe an hour or so, just by watching some of the tutorials you can build a system, build an application that can automate that process for you. So now anyone in your company can log in. Maybe they can sign in with their social service of their choice, or maybe you have like LDAP or some single sign-on software at your company. They can all sign in. They can go and enter hours for how many hours they worked that week. So previously, you may have done this with a spreadsheet, which is maybe like a zero-cost option. Maybe you just have an Excel spreadsheet, but you can't email that around every time, right? You don't want to email that to your HR person. Hey, here's the hours I worked. So now you have a centralized location where everything goes in, and then you can add validation on top of this. You can say, hey, you can't work more than 8 hours a day, or there's different rules, there's different business logic that you can add on top of that. So now a small business, you can go and pay somebody to do all this for you, or fairly easily you can build an application that does this for you, and that's custom just for your company.
Right. And you mentioned the Excel spreadsheet. Another core functionality of Apex that a lot of people find very useful is the spreadsheet replacement tool. And so how you can take a
Right.
very robust Excel spreadsheet that you are using, might be mission critical, and you can spin it up in Apex in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, actually, probably should have led with this first. So a lot of companies are run on Excel spreadsheets,
Including
right?
Oracle.
Including Oracle, and absolutely, we're no strangers to this, right? I see spreadsheets exchanged all the time in email. Like, hey, if you want to hire somebody, here's a critical hire spreadsheet. If you want to order something here, or here's all the attendees for this event, or whatever, right? So you see this all the time, and just imagine that you can stop all that email traffic, right? You have a single source of truth. You have this Excel spreadsheet, and what you're going to do is turn it into an application where everyone can go to. It's a single source of truth, and everyone sees the same data at the same time. And that's what you can do with Apex, really, with just drag and drop.
Right. You lose so much data. You lose data quality when you continually move these Excel spreadsheets around, right? Because all of a sudden, nowadays, right, data is changing very fast. So the second you send an Excel spreadsheet,
it's out of date. Yeah,
that right. Data is no longer
so
relevant.
What happens with Excel is that there's no referential integrity. There's not really any kind of enforcements on your data's integrity. So anyone can type in whatever they want to the field, and then if you want to add validations to that, go and learn macros and figure all this stuff out, and then it becomes more and more complex to maintain and manage. So Excel is, I think there's something empowering about Excel. People really find it easy to use. Tool. You can click anywhere, you can do whatever you want, you can set it up exactly the way you like. But the moment you email it out to somebody else to have them fill out a form, and then you go email it to another person, it just becomes a nightmare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so these are all good use cases for a small organization and how a small organization can utilize this tool and scale with their growth. Right. Enterprise organizations aren't much different either. I mean, they can use these same use cases, spreadsheet replacement, but how are larger organizations, our 500 million and above organizations utilizing Apex? Like, what are some good common use cases that someone might go, oh, wow, I could use it for that?
So, okay, I'll talk about Oracle first because I know this firsthand.
Right.
Application development at Oracle is dominated by Oracle Apex. And this isn't just me saying it because I work on the Apex team. We have the data to prove this. So we have an internal instance of Apex called Apex at Oracle Corp that any employee in the company can go and sign up for a free workspace, and they can start building an application immediately. And this environment we have secured. We have professional operations team that runs it to make sure it's up 24/7. And what this means is that right now there's about 5,000 plus workspaces with about 35,000 applications by virtually every line of business that hosts and runs applications on this Apex platform. So we have applications from the global employee calendar application. So you can go and see which holidays are in Mexico versus India versus Canada versus the US versus Austria or whatever other country that Oracle's in. Or you can use it to build applications like something called Oracle Einstein, which is an application that our team built, which is used by over 24,000 employees for a knowledge management solution. So think of it like Stack Overflow, where people can ask questions, they can provide answers. And
message board.
Yeah, think of it like that, right? Yeah. It's like a community application. And just recently, we had this other software for running forums, and it was being decommissioned. So we talked to a couple of different groups, and they were using that quite heavily to manage their support queries, support questions coming in from customers. So now they migrated over to Einstein. So we have another 8,000 users using Einstein, and it's able to scale just fine, and it's all running on the same shared hardware, right? And you got this at no cost. So enterprises can certainly use Apex to build very complex solutions, and this is just within Oracle, right? If you look at some of the top companies out there, a lot of them are no different than really Oracle. Oracle is a 140,000 employee company, and we have the same needs that every other organization has. We know there are companies that build entire CRM systems or HCM systems using Apex. There's these massive applications that manage hundreds of thousands, millions and millions of records of data in Apex systems. So I wouldn't think of Apex as this constraining box that says, hey, you can't, if you get to a certain point, then you got to use something else.
Right.
We know from our experience in talking to customers how they're using Apex, and we're just thrilled by how the industry is really picking it up.
Yeah, and I really think it's going to be amazing to watch to watch Oracle have an impact now in smaller businesses too, startups and established small businesses with this autonomous offering.
I think so. I think this is the golden opportunity for us to reach these, these markets that we have traditionally kind of ignored, right? So Oracle was always the big company that, would look for like, hey, are you in the Fortune 100? All right, we've got something for you. And now it's going to more, the developer up approach, where we're reaching out to developers and saying, hey, how do you want to be the most productive? And it doesn't necessarily even have to be developers, right? You can be a business analyst, you can be a line of business person, you can be a non-traditional IT role and still get value out of what we have to offer. And because of the autonomous database and the cloud, that offering is so much more accessible now.
Yeah, and this is such a great conversation, and I know a lot of people will find value in it. And so I want to create even more value by talking about an awesome feature of Apex, which is something you specialize in, which is the UI, the user experience component of Apex. Mm-hmm. So talk to us about how important it is now, especially in a digital age, that we remain relevant to internal clients and external clients when it comes to UX and how we're presenting applications, how we're presenting external portals, and how we're including branding, and how easy it is to do with Apex.
Okay, so I think there's never been a time where user experience has been more important than it is today. And the reason I say this is because pretty much everybody now has access to the best technology on their phones, right? And I think if you look back 10 years, maybe like 12, 13 years before the iPhone really came out, there wasn't that much attention paid to user experience. And you can tell this because the software that, a lot of companies would use, like a lot of employees would use, maybe some business software, it would always be lagging behind. It would not have the best user experience. It would not be easy to use. There would be training manuals. There'd be like documentation. You'd have to read this manual on how to use it before you could use that software. And what's happening since the advent of the iPhone is that, people are starting to use more apps, more technology. And it's not that technology is no longer just for the techie people out there. It's really for everybody. So, your grandma can go and call up an Uber just as easy as anybody else. And it's pretty incredible what's happening there, right? You're calling this service,
so true.
Right? You're using this application that you downloaded from some store. You click on it, you sign in, you request a taxi, and it shows up right there. That's modern technology. So if you can make that so easy on an iPhone that really anybody can do it, why can't our enterprise software be the same? And that's the biggest shift that's been happening, is that enterprise software is just becoming software now, right? It's no longer just this like massive screens with lots of fields and you got to know how to use it and have training. That software, if that's still around, it's going to go away soon because no one's going to buy it because it's impossible to use. So you see all these new companies coming in and stepping up their UX game and saying, hey, we make this easier to use. With fewer steps, with fewer clicks, you can go and perform whatever business function you want to do. An example that I like to talk about is Hotel Tonight. It's an application for your iPhone, and their whole premise was you can book a hotel room for tonight within like 1 or 2 clicks, versus signing up versus like making a reservation for your local hotel, right? Go to their website, sign up, create an account, fill out the dates, just fill in all this information, versus like 10 clicks or like 5 taps with Hotel Tonight, and apply this to enterprise applications.
Yeah. It's funny you talk about clicks because we were on a call today together, and one of the questions was, why do I have to make 4 clicks to get here? I want less clicks. 10 years ago, 4 clicks was amazing.
Yeah, you're right.
So now, the less clicks, the better the experience. And when we talk about, so let's talk about this for a second, because I think a lot of people might not understand this either. User experience. When we talk about user experience, are people in the industry, UX, UI, what are we talking about? We're not just talking about branding or color sheets, or we're talking about full experience.
Yeah.
What is someone experiencing when they visit our website? what is someone experiencing when they're on an application? Can you talk a little more about that?
Sure. It's a very interesting way of looking at things. We never really cared about, like, people in general, technology in general hasn't really cared about the experience of how users use the technology. I think we were just excited that, hey, it worked, right? Like, before, in the past, what you would do is, if you had a computing problem or technology problem, you would throw more technology at it. So if something wasn't running fast, you'd throw more CPUs and more memory and faster computers at it, and it would solve itself. And we got to a point where that's no longer giving us the returns that we want, right? Like, we have really fast computers now. Your iPhone can do, things that were unimaginable just a couple of years ago. So what it comes down to is, how do you make that technology accessible to somebody? And the way you do that is by making it as easy as possible to use. So that's where user experience comes in. And people sometimes mistake user experience with design, or really with the decoration of how something looks. And it's a lot more than that. So user interface is the facade, right? It's what you see, but user experience is how you were to use that. And if you can build something that requires no training or very little, know-how to pick up and use, that generally will provide a very good user experience. So I think that's the biggest distinction to know. It's not how it looks, it's how it works, and it's how it's to use and how you can adapt to it.
It's an encompassing experience, everything together, right?
Exactly. And I think, again, all too often people make the mistake that, anybody could be a user experience expert. It's so obvious. Of course it should be less clicks, or of course it should do this. But I think that's where they kind of fall into this trap of, I'm an expert and this is how users work. There's actually very interesting patterns that users follow. And there's design patterns that if you follow those design patterns, then you'll build a more successful app than if you weren't.
And isn't it kind of funny? As we're talking about this, I'm thinking about how we interact as humans in general. So 10 years ago, lifestyle experiences weren't a thing, right? People now want an experience. Like, you go to a restaurant, it's not going to a restaurant for a utility, right? You're not going out to eat like you used to. It was going out to eat because you needed to eat, right?
Yep.
Now it's still, you need to eat, right? But you're going for the experience, and these restaurants are catering to it. And the hotels, they have that UX, their own kind of UX down, right?
Oh, yeah.
That you're going and you are experiencing something unique, something that they have crafted and they have spent time on, and that you can take something away from it that is almost a tangible experience, And so it's so funny to see, kind of the juxtaposition between experience in a lifestyle, right? And then experience with technology. And
this is really the best time to be alive right now, because you've never been so coddled in your life with all these different industries really competing for your attention, right? And trying to figure out the best way that they can do this. And you're absolutely right. User experience extends beyond just a computer. It's called customer experience, where you're talking about where, how does Marriott optimize for your stay there? So they might say, oh, hello sir, hello ma'am, right? They might acknowledge you by your name every time you pick up their phone call. I think the Ritz-Carlton has a rule. I think it's like the 3-5-10 rule or something, where if you're 3 steps close to somebody, then they say hello. If you're 5 steps away, they look at you and smile. If they're 10 steps away, they'll just look at you. So there's certain things that they do where it provides a good experience.
Yeah, and just at CES recently, the CEO of Delta Airlines, all about experience. You walk into an airport, everything's personalized. You feel like you're a part of this community, and there's this experience that's positive. Yeah. So it's definitely dominant in our culture. I want to talk a little about something really quickly, and that's just, I want you to summarize why you think Apex, and you're going to be giving a presentation at an event for us tonight, and why you think Apex is a solid choice when a small business or a startup is considering how they manage their data or how they're building upon the data that they have. Why you think Apex is a solid choice for them?
Okay, sure. So before I even get into Apex, I would say it's really the Oracle database that's the solid choice here, right? So it's really the best data platform out there. So if you have data of any importance, of any significance, then you're going to see a lot of value from having that data in an Oracle database and being able to see that data in really new ways and get really interesting insights from that data. And that's where Apex comes in. So let's say that you're a startup or a small business, right? And you may have limited budget or limited investment that you want to make in your technology, right? And there's so many open source solutions out there. You can go and get something for free, and there's probably lots of material about it. Maybe it's like the most hip thing right now, and you might say, hey, why don't I look into this like hip thing that's coming out? Well, you should question, what is the underlying motive? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to solve a business problem, or are you trying to are you trying to join the latest fad that's out there? So if you're a startup, maybe you're like an AI startup, or maybe you're building drones or whatever it is, right? So there's something that's core to your business, which is the reason why you exist. And then there's everything else about that business that you need to run. So maybe, let's say you're Uber, right? Maybe like 10 years ago, and maybe your core business is connecting drivers with passengers, okay? But in order for you to do that, you have to have a registry, you have to have a database or some information about all the drivers out there, all the passengers out there. What are the drivers? What are the ratings? How many trips have they completed? Where exactly did they go on those trips? What was the pickup point? How much did each transaction cost? All that's going someplace, right? So if you were to store all that let's say you had all that information in a database someplace. Now, how would you go and build an application on that? How would you view that information? So you might say, oh, I'll use some BI tool out there. Maybe I'll go and use a business analytics tool. I can go and make charts and stuff. Okay, you can do that. But then what if you want to do more than just view that data? What if you want to actually build something on top of that data? Now you want to build an application that allows you to create, let drivers, enroll into Uber, to start their driving career. Or maybe you want to onboard new passengers. Or maybe you want to give drivers the ability to set their own hours, when they're available, when they're not, right? It's no longer just a data analytics tool, and now it becomes it's an application development thing. Mm-hmm. So imagine that you can do all of that on the same platform. And I think that's really the beauty of the Oracle database and Oracle Apex, is that you get a single platform where your data lives, and you can build all the applications you want to view that data, to manage that data, to manipulate that data. And you can still focus on your core mission of connecting drivers to passengers, right? Maybe, that's an iPhone application. I wouldn't use Apex to build an iPhone app that's like Uber, right? It needs to be a mobile, like native app. You probably need to build it multiple times for different platforms. But everything else around Uber and how it works and, how they connect drivers, where all that information is stored, there's no reason why you shouldn't do that in a technology like Apex.
Thanks for talking with me today. This has been really helpful. And,
I'm happy to be here. That's great.
Yeah, I hope a lot of people enjoyed the conversation. So the final part of this podcast is we play a little game. We do trivia. I kind of warned you about this.
That's right.
It's not too difficult. Don't worry. And Charles is committed to serving the community here in Minneapolis. And so for every question you get right, we'll make a donation to the House of Charity, which is a local nonprofit that helps those that are experiencing homelessness achieve independence. So it's a lot of fun, and it goes to a good cause. So
great.
We'll help you along the way.
Okay.
All right. You ready for number one?
Let's do it.
Okay. What is the oldest city in the United States? Now, I'll kind of help you here, because I did not know this one. But it's on the eastern seaboard.
Yeah.
But it's not what you would think. It's not what you would think of, like in the 13 colonies.
It's not in the 13 colonies?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay. I had a couple of ideas. Some that's very close to me. I was going to say, can I ask you a couple more questions about it?
Sure.
Can I drive to it within a couple hours from where I live?
No.
Ah, okay. Well, does it begin with a consonant? I guess they all do.
Yes, it does.
That's not a very good question to ask, huh?
It is in the state of Florida.
Wow. Okay. I would not have guessed this at all.
Yeah. It was probably a harder question, but it's St. Augustine, Florida. And it's saying that the Spanish explorer, there was a Spanish explorer that established the settlement there in 1565.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a
So
couple. Oh, I was gonna say Williamsburg, maybe Plymouth, Roanoke, but
Yeah,
no, this is not. Sorry.
that's okay. I probably put in something a little too hard, but that's okay. All right, number 2. What was the first capital of the United States?
New York.
No.
Come on.
But
Really?
But you can drive to this one from where you live within a few hours. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, right.
Liberty Bell.
Pennsylvania.
It's in
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
Oh my God.
There you go.
Really? I thought New York was. Oh my God.
No, yeah.
That's so embarrassing.
D.C. didn't become the nation's capital till like 1790.
That's right.
Yeah. So, all right, last one. Now, yeah, I think you'll get this one. In what state does the Mississippi River begin?
It begins with an M.
It does, and you may or may not be in that state right now.
Okay. I want to say the great state of Minnesota.
The great state of Minnesota, yes. Good job. So, sorry, the first one was a little hard, but the other two were fine. Yeah. All right, well, thanks so much for playing with us. That was fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thanks so much for being with us. And we're really excited about the autonomous offering and Apex on autonomous. But we're also excited about the way that Apex and Oracle are continuing to innovate. And so thanks to you and your team. And
Can I just make one little tidbit here?
Yeah,
So
of course.
The only thing I would say is everybody listening, to get started, it's really quite simple. You just have to go to apex.oracle.com, and it's our website. You can learn all about Apex, but there's a big button called Get Started for Free, and we walk you through exactly how to get started. There's like a 5-minute video you can watch that shows you step by step exactly what you need to do to sign up for your free service. So it's always free. It's not you don't have to do anything. You won't be charged or anything, and you can use it free forever. So I would say just give it a try and see what you like, see what you don't like, and we have a great community out there. I think we're
right. I was going to say that website is phenomenal. There's so many things you can learn from that website.
Yeah, thank you. And I think we're very fortunate to have one of the most globally, one of the most vibrant communities, especially in the Oracle space. So I look forward to welcoming you to the Oracle community.
Yeah. And just for a fun shout out to Joel Coleman, who's the co-founder of this technology. When you're going to apex.oracle.com, you spell it APEX. And some people like to pronounce it wrong, but it's really Apex, right? It's not
That
Apex.
is correct. It's not
Apex.
It's not, yeah, that's right. It's not AppX as an application express. It's
Right.
Apex as in at the apex of the
And
mountain.
that's very important. That's very crucial to this community. The correct pronunciation. Am I right?
That is right. Yeah, you will see stickers of the correct pronunciation of
Yeah.
Apex.
We have them on our computers right now. No one can really see them unless you watch the video, but this is the phonetic pronunciation. So, thanks for being with us, Shakeeb.
Yeah, thank you for having me.